Hello and what's up to you all awesome and wonderful matriculants. Today is our CA day. It is Cheryl and Abram day where we learn more and learn extra on life sciences. I hope you had a great day at school. Cheryl, how are you?
I'm so glad you explained the CA day. I'm thinking, okay, did I miss something?
Did I miss something?
Okay,
No.
First I'm BT, now I'm a
No,
CA.
now you're a CA.
No,
It's an upgrade.
It's an upgrade.
Yeah.
I'm glad you put my name first, probably because I'm older.
No, I was thinking, should I say AC? But
CA just flows much nicer.
yeah,
hey?
CA is just more nicer. What are we up to today?
Welcome guys. We're going to look at our last series of genetics, where we're going to look at genetic engineering, and we're going to do a few practice things, kind of questions that you're going to have to be able just to explain. So our last genetics.
Nice one. And I must say your
Yeah.
voice sounds
It's
much better.
It's getting better. Can you see? I'm taking the vitamins and I'm
keep doing
keep
what you're
getting
doing.
healthy. Yes.
And
yes.
I'll make sure that I give you some breaks, hey? Well, guys, to be part of our show, it's simple. Join us on Facebook. Join the conversation by sending through your questions and your comments. Our Facebook link is facebook.com/LearnExtra. XTRA. Even on Twitter, you can follow us at LearnExtra, guys. Remember, our extra is XTRA. We've got exciting things on the show. We've got competitions that we're going to be telling you more about. But for now, I've already posted the notes for you because I'm a nice guy and I'd like you guys to learn more and learn extra with us. Talking about the notes, we've got an awesome workbook, which is a complete solution to help you matriculants do better and exceptionally well on your life sciences. You can get it for only 139 Rand. Simply send an email to sales@mindset.co.za. For more information, ask me on Facebook or follow us on Twitter at LearnExtra. Cheryl, over to you.
Over to you. Welcome, Matrix. It's our last session tonight that we're going to be looking at genetics, right? And tonight, we're going to not look at so much the genetic crosses. We're going to look at concepts that you need to have an opinion about. All right. So when it comes to this section of work, you need to have an opinion about certain concepts that we're going to look at. You can't just say maybe, maybe not. Right? You're going to need to form an opinion. Doesn't mean that you don't have to change your opinion later, but not during your papers this year. All right. We finished with looking at our monohybrid crosses, etc., and showing you the different ways that we can sort of use genetic means, or all of Gregor Mendel's rules of dominance and recessive, where we can start to see, or we have a bit of an idea of what an offspring, all right, might look like. If you've got certain characteristics, this might happen in the offspring, etc. Now tonight we look at something, all right, a little bit differently. But we've touched on this before. We've looked at it during meiosis, and to a certain extent, you might have looked at it, all right, when we did reproduction. And the first topic that we're going to look at is mutations, all right. Now, as I keep telling my classes, as soon as I say the word mutations, they think X-Men, okay? You think the movies have created these things where people have got these special powers and they are able to fly and go invisible and do not. All right. Listen carefully. All right. A mutation, and we've got to go back to mutations again, right, when we do DNA. Remember I said to you, you mustn't learn everything in a little box. Okay? Everything has links to each other in this section. Here's yet another link. When we have DNA replication, when we have protein synthesis, when we've got all this DNA and it has to, all right, mix up and it has to put with its codon and anticodon, guys, mistakes happen, right? Mistakes happen. And when mistake happens, a change happens on the DNA. And again, I use the word mistake, right? Because when we think of mistake, we think again of horrible things that can happen, which is not always the case. So when we talk about a mutation simply means that somewhere we have altered, all right? We have altered the DNA. It has changed. And we can do that. It can be a natural process, or through our own genetic engineering, we can ourselves change the DNA to make it work a little bit better for us. Okay, so when we talk about mutation, 2 mutations, all right, you need to know about, and we've done them before. Number 1 is somatic mutation. Now, if you guys can remember, somatic means our body cell. Right? And some of the work that we're doing now, we're going to link back to grade 10. I know for some of you, you're thinking, I don't even know what I did yesterday. All right? That's why we have grade 10, 11, 12. It's a build-up. There's certain concepts that you need to have a bit of a general knowledge about. So if you're not too sure, go and just wipe off the dust, see if you can find that grade 10 book, or ask a friend, right? Maybe they can, or somebody younger than you, and you can just go and check through it again. Okay, so my somatic is my body cell. And my body cell, it can change, all right? It can become changed. And often here, all right, that's through cancers. What happens to a body cell? My body cell, it's uncontrollable mitosis, right? The body cell change, it can become malignant. Cancer is one of the things. We cannot pass cancer on. There are, now listen carefully when I say that, certain cancers are genetic, all right? Breast cancer, or usually in women, colon cancer in men. There is a link to that when we talk about the genes passing on. But a woman, all right, or a man, if we get a certain cancer, like leukemia or something, it's our body cells that have been, unfortunately, become diseased, and not our sex cells. So because it's our body cells, we don't pass on that information to our children. So we say somatic mutations, all right, through pollution can cause it. Sun can cause skin cancer, all right. Certain kinds of hormones that we eat in our food all the time, those cancer. X-rays, right, being exposed to nuclear material, etc. That can cause, right, can cause some kinds of cancers that we're not going to pass on. Okay, going on to that, when I talk about a germline, right, guys, germs are not bacteria. Germline is when I'm talking about my meiosis, all right, and I'm talking about sex cells. When you looked at the reproductive system, you looked at the testes and you looked at the ovary. And when we looked at the seminiferous tubules, that tubule, all right, the germline, what popped out? A cell, and what did that cell start to do? It grew by mitosis, and then it divided by meiosis to become a sex cell. Same as the female, all right? So when we're talking about germline, we are talking about sex line, all right, which is our sex cells. And what have sex cells got in them? Those are the chromosomes that we are going to pass on. So if something happens here in the sex cell, all right, then that mutation can then be passed on to the offspring. Okay? Somatic body, no passing on. Germline, that's our sex cells, we can pass on. Okay. Now, when I talk about a mutation, you should have done it in your DNA as well. A mutation means a change, right? Two types that we're going to look at. Where can the change be? Number one, all right, on the gene. And you might recognize it. We call it a point mutation. All right? A point mutation. Have a look over here. Here's my DNA. All right? And now, what do I do on my DNA? I can put in an extra base, an extra codon, which is substitution. Oops, look what happened during everything. Deletion, or I could have added one. So when this whole, remember, guys, boys especially, I'm sure you might have played Lego before, or any of you have got you've got something to build, and you've got these instructions, and you follow the instructions, and at the end, it doesn't come out what you planned it to be. Because what happened? Somewhere along the line, you might have done something wrong. It's exactly the same thing happens here. You've got these millions and millions of nitrogenous bases, all right? And things go wrong all the time. Often your body auto-corrects it, all right? Sometimes it doesn't correct it. And that's all going to depend, where does it happen? what is it? What's going to happen to it? If it happens here, this could be the probable cause. If it happens here, it doesn't really matter. All right. I often say genetics is like the lotto. You're never quite sure what you're going to get. All right. So that is a point mutation. A mutation means a change on a point in the DNA itself. Then we get larger ones. Okay. And you guys looked at, right, when you looked at meiosis, you looked at chromosomal mutations, and that's why I put the picture of the little girl here with Down syndrome. I think you might have, okay, trisomy. Right, can you remember what happened? On number 21, what did we have? We had an extra chromosome. Your teacher might have also looked at Turner syndrome. Turner syndrome, all right, female has only one X. So we've got one where we should have had two, all right? Or you might have looked at Klinefelter syndrome, males who had an extra X, all right, and a Y. So sometimes chromosomes we can add an extra one, or trisomy, right, or monosomny when we take one away, right? And you looked at it. At the end, what was the, all right, there were some, it caused harm, all right? It could lead to a harmful mutation. So it's work, remember, work now that we've done already when we've looked at meiosis. So just a few examples here, what I've given you, all right? Just have a look. I'm going to quickly go through it. Look at the pictures here. Okay, a harmless mutation. Harmless. Being able to roll your tongue. Can you roll your tongue, Abram? There we go, you can. Those of you who can roll your tongue, that's a mutation. Are you sticking your tongue out? All right, being able to roll your tongue is a mutation. Yes, okay? But it's not going to have interfere in your quality of life, whether you can roll your tongue or not. So here, harmless mutations. Baldness. I'm married to a lovely bald man. All right? Baldness is a mutation because you actually should have hair. All right? Baldness doesn't matter. Those men are bald. Doesn't really matter. It's not going to cause life or death. Red hair, freckles, blue eyes. All right? Those are all mutations that doesn't really make a difference. Now, these are the ones that you need to look at next. All right? And you need to know a few for each of them, just a few examples. When we looked at harmful mutations, all right, albinoism. Now, when I talk about albinism, I'm not always talking about people, right? Albinoism, as in the black, the white culture. I'm talking about here an animal. Here's a buck. One is white and one is not. Okay, and if you're a buck in nature and you are white, you might as well just pin a dartboard, all right, a target to your butt. Because why are animals different colors? To help them with camouflage, to hide away from predators. So if this buck is white, all right, he's going to stick out. So it's going to make him an easy target, all right, for predators. For albinos, if we look at albinos in our culture, please understand that white people can also be albinos. Albino just means a lack of color. All right, so we're talking about the white hair, the blue eyes, the skin, but that unfortunately makes you more prone to skin cancers, etc. So yes, all right, the fairer your skin, the more sensitive you are to our South African sun, and that can cause cancer, which can be harmful. All right, but unlike the animal, we are able to protect ourselves. Your teacher might have also mentioned there's certain disease. She might have looked at sickle cell anemia, right? In Africa, we have sickle cell anemia, all right, where we have, if you have the gene, your blood, all right, your blood cell is deformed. And if they spoke about it, you see, those that are carriers, right, of sickle cell anemia, it's actually what we call a bonus point, because people with sickle cell anemia, the carriers, are actually less prone, all right, to malaria. Okay, so unfortunately, they can carry on the trait, which can have serious effects, death, etc. Quality of life isn't so good. All right, or all right, if you are a carrier, you can actually be immune to malaria, which in Africa is a disease that kills many. Your teacher also might have mentioned a disease called Huntington's disease. Huntington's disease is a disease, and you see I've put a question in on this. You don't need to know a lot about these diseases. You just need to have an understanding, all right? And the Huntington's disease is a genetic disease that is going to attack the lining of the brain. I see, are we almost up for time?
Yes.
Because the next one is going to be quite important, and I don't want to rush it.
No problem. Well, for you guys that are watching today, I just want to make this day more special for you. If you're new on our community, make sure that you let me know on Facebook. Our Facebook page is facebook.com/LearnExtra. And I'll give you a shout out already. There's some mindsetters on the page. Cheryl, we're enjoying the show. I've got some great comments, such as Freshie Malejo Pressure saying, the LearnExtra lessons have boosted my marks at school. Thank you, guys.
Awesome.
And Angela saying, hi guys, can you please give me a big shout out to all the Simunye High School mindsetters that are doing life sciences. So Angelo, a big shout out to you and all the guys from Simunye High School. Well guys, you're going to be looking at a nice promo for you if you're doing matric, of which I know that you are doing matric right now. Think about accommodation next year. We've got this exciting competition where you could win 1 year's free accommodation. Look at this. So I don't have any excuse. If I was you, I would enter right now and win myself that 1 year's free accommodation. There's great lifestyle at South Point Accommodation. So guys, if you just tuned right now, you're a bit late. But Cheryl, I told you, it's our CA day, so we're going to make sure that we carry everyone along.
No. I said to him, I said, keep me on my toes. And he said, you can see I'm feeling better because I don't dance that well, but I can sort of. I feel much better than I ever.
That's one. When you feel better from the inside, even the outside will just tell.
Definitely.
Nice one.
All right, guys, are we carrying on?
Yeah.
All right, guys, now the next session, all right, this thing, the notes that I'm going to put up now, it's a lot of writing, but if you go to the notes on the internet, the next section is really, really important, okay? This is the section that they like to ask you questions on all of the time. Okay, now, when we look at genetics, all right, we said that a genetic mutation is a change. Now, the mutation, as we look now, can be non-harmful, all right, non-beneficial, doesn't do anything, or it can be harmful. And I'm going to come to the useful ones just now. Now, the next thing that you need to know is that you need to understand that if you are aware, now let's start, if you are aware that you have this history of some kind of genetic disease in your family, all right? So we're looking at the theory part. So we know, we've looked at genetics, and very often, any of you have gone to a doctor, they will often say, what kind of diseases do you have this in your family? All right, so it shows that it might be a chance that if you want to have children one day, there could be possibilities. Okay, so now, there's two words that we need to, two phrases that we need. Number one, they're going to ask you, if you are aware of genetic diseases, what could you do, all right, to make a decision, an informed decision, all right? The first thing you're going to tell me is you're going to go for genetic testing, and we're going to see why now, all right? Why do you go for genetic testing? So that I can make a decision, I can be more informed. So if somebody tells me, listen here, Cheryl, you have got this genetic condition, you have a chance of passing it on to your children, right? This is what it's going to involve. It might mean, are you financially able to do it? Are you emotionally able to handle it? All right? So you need to do two phrases. I need to go for genetic testing, all right, so that if there is something that's wrong, I can receive genetic counseling. Okay, let's have a look quickly. You need to know these. These are nice things to be able to have a good general knowledge of. All right, so why would I want to? Or when would they want to screen me? All right, the first one, prenatal diagnosis. What does that mean? Okay, you looked at amniocentesis when you looked at the reproductive system. Okay, when they take a needle, they take some amniotic fluid, and in that amniotic fluid are cells. And those cells they can test to see, all right, are there a disorder? Okay, is there a disorder? So prenatal, all right, prenatal is actually before, right? So and during, so they can say, then again they can say to you, all right, listen here, this is the case. What decision do you want to make? Another one could be, all right, that you are aware that there is a certain gene in your family. Test me for it, see if I have it, all right, so then I can make a decision as to whether I want to have children or not. Okay, number 3, predictive diagnosis. Okay, certain diseases are going to have financial implications. They are going to mean that it might cost you a lot of money. Are you able emotionally to care for a child who might have certain genetic diseases? Okay, so when they say predictive again, if you know certain things in the beginning, you can make an informed choice. All right? So if you know what your possibilities are, all right, if I know something, my choices that I make, I can maybe make better choices. That all depends on your person, all depends on your religion. There's lots of factors that are going to come into that. All right. Okay. So now, as we said, what's the benefits? Why do you do it? Okay. Reduces the risk of suffering. Maybe you cannot handle a child, all right, who has special needs. As I said before, maybe financially you cannot. All right, what about other children? Maybe you feel that it won't be fair to them. And as I said, a personal thing. When it comes to a personal thing, you're going to have religion. What do you believe? You're going to have certain things, right, that are going to make those or assist you in making those decisions. Okay, so the benefits are, for example, as I said, all right, so now I know if I'm a woman over 35, I stand a greater chance of a Down syndrome baby. Do I know that? Am I aware of it? Am I able to handle it? Okay, can my family support me? So then we talk about genetic testing to see, all right, if that mutation, there's a possibility, and then counseling, all right, being able to counsel. That's what counsel is. Help me to make the best, all right, decision. Then just useful mutations, all right, believe it or not, lactose intolerant. We were actually born without the ability to digest milk. That came later. It's a mutation. It's to our benefit. This one, all right, over here, bacteria, I think this has been me, all right, the last while. For the first time ever, those of you who've been seen, you were saw last week, I was somewhat sick, all right? I had antibiotics. For the first time ever, antibiotics didn't work, all right? Maybe the bacteria are stronger, all right? They're more resistant to antibiotics. That's good for the bacteria, not so good for us, okay? Certain people have natural immunity to HIV, all right? Insects that become resistant to pesticides. Those are mutations that, yes, maybe for us not so good, but for the individuals, that is a benefit, okay? All right. That is a useful mutation. The next thing you have to have just a brief idea about is the term genetic engineering. Genetic engineering is where we personally, all right, humans personally, we go in and we change an organism's DNA. A mutation is a random thing that happens. All right, it can happen at any time. There's certain things that maybe can trigger it, sunlight, nuclear radiation, those kind of things. But genetic engineering is where we physically go and we change, all right, the DNA. When we do that, the word that I just want you to know, all right, is we remake the DNA. And the two words. We make an organism that has recombinant DNA. Recombined. All right, and when we change something, the next term I want you to use, we use the word transgenic. All right? It's the same as genetically engineered. Okay. One of the examples that you get quite often that you might be given the picture for and maybe ask questions on the picture is how we make human insulin today. Just a bit of feedback. Insulin, all right, we used to get insulin from pigs. All right, now already you can see, okay, pigs, not humans. Certain religious, all right, sectors might have problems with that. Okay, so how do we, and lots of people are diabetic. It can kill them, all right? So how do we overcome this? What they did was they took the gene for insulin from a human, my gene to make insulin, and they recombined it with the bacteria's, all right? So all of a sudden, you have got bacteria that now reproduce human insulin, all right? What do you know of bacteria? Bacteria reproduce very quickly, so reproduce fast, lots of insulin. And what insulin are they making? They are making human insulin. So if they're making human insulin, all right, our body won't reject it. Okay? Maybe certain religious groups, etc., or certain sects, they still might not see that, all right? But then again, as I said, you will speak out of your own personal, all right, circumstances. Whether you think, is it good? Is it a good thing that we are able to make this human insulin? Are we playing around a bit with things that God should? We don't know what we're doing. We never know what's going to happen. Those are the kind of questions you need to have an opinion about. Do I believe in genetic engineering? Do I say, yes, I can? Why? Because people get healthy from it. It helps people who are sick. No, I don't believe it. My religion says it is against God's wishes. All right? I do not believe in it because I do not know what the future could hold. It could bring in other mutations. Have an opinion. All right? Don't say, I don't know. All right? And often they're going to say to you, what do you think? Is it a good idea? Or why do you think it is not a good idea? So there you must have your opinions when it comes to that. All right. Lots of times when we look at genetic engineering, we talk about this thing called a GMO. All right? A GMO is a genetically modified organism. All right? And that, people, can be both animal and here especially can be plants. All right. I want you to go back last year, okay? I know, dust off the grade 10 books and the grade 11 books. You did a whole thing on the ecology. You did food security, okay? What is food security? Food security, all right, is our governments, the world's, all right, need to be able to make sure that every single individual has access to food, enough of it, all right, and it should be healthy for you, okay? So we have a growing population. We have a growing population. We need to feed that population. So with genetically modified organisms, what can I do there? If I can change it so that there's more resistance to disease and pests, in other words, when I plant a crop, nothing's going to eat it. Then I'm going to harvest that crop. Then I'm going to have lots of food. Yes, I'm going to make more money, but I'm going to make more food. If I can grow food, all right, in areas that are drier than they should be, what am I going to do? I'm making more food, all right? Over here, if I can grow food now in soil that's not so good, but now I can grow food, all right? What is doing? I'm making more food. So that is the whole argument about genetically modified foods. Guys, a lot of your food, I'm afraid to tell you, is genetically modified. Your maizes and your wheats especially, all right? Especially. Go and have a look, all right? Go and look up on the internet about GMO. It's a big debate. And this is where you must have an opinion. Do I believe in it? Yes. Why? It makes more food. More people, all right, can be fed. People aren't going to go hungry, right? What else? If I can make my food that's got more nutrition, there won't be malnutrition in the world. Okay, but the other people on the other side saying, we don't know what is going to happen. All right? That's why I say these big question marks. We don't know. Changing the genes. Are we making food that's unhealthy for us? Is it bad for us? Is it increasing cancers because our food is different? Okay, so yet again, have an opinion. All right. Are you yay or are you nay? Are you yes or are you no? Okay. All right. And next section that again, you just need to have a brief outlook at is cloning. All right. We looked at, maybe your teacher told you about Dolly the sheep. When we look at cloning, we make an exact copy of something. All right. So when we make an exact copy of something, the hint here, and we're going to look at the questions, we must never use the sex cells. Because sex cells, we don't know what we're getting. Right? So if I were to have a look quickly here, what they would do is they would take a body cell. All right? Have a look here. They take a body cell from one sheep. And then they take, all right, an egg cell over here from another sheep. Now, here you've got a nucleus, 2N. Here you've got an egg cell, N. All right? Now you guys already should be thinking, 2N plus N gives me 3N. Now let's look here. Whoa, if this was human, it would be 46 plus another 23. Oh my goodness, how much would I have? All right. Okay, all of a sudden, the numbers, and we know when there's one single chromosome, all right, things go haywire. So now what do? Okay, have a look what I do here. I take this egg cell out. Okay, I take it out. I don't want the cell because I want a cell that I already know is going to look like the sheep. Whenever I deal with a sex cell, all right, there's my egg, you know, and there's my sperm, I don't know what I'm going to get. When I've already got an organism, I know what I'm going to get. Why do I use an egg cell? Because I want to trick the body cell into thinking that it's fertilized. Because once it tricks into thinking it's fertilized, what does it do? It grows by mitosis. And when that little thing grows into a little embryo, I can put it into a surrogate mother. All right, so cloning. Also go back to grade 10, therapeutic cloning. Have stem cells. All right, stem cells. What are stem cells? Stem cells are cells that have the ability to become differentiated, to change. Does this look familiar to you when we did reproduction? The blastocysts. You see these little cells over here? All right? If I take them out, I can make heart cells, nerve cells. I can maybe make blood cells. All right? So, for certain diseases, I can maybe use those stem cells, like for Alzheimer's, when the brain tissue starts to deteriorate. Maybe I can take those cells and I can put them inside the brain and they will produce new cells. You don't need to know the whole process. Again, do you think using stem cells is good or do you think using stem cells is bad? All right. Yes, I think it's good because we can maybe make organs. All right, so we don't have to wait on a transplant list. Right, we can help people who are sick. We can help cure disease. Right, on the other hand, I don't believe in it. Right, I think we're playing around with things we shouldn't. Right, we are acting as God. Right, so again, you need to have an opinion of whether you want to do with a yes or a no. I see we got 20 seconds.
Of course. Well,
Yes.
I've got a question for you. I'll give you
Yes,
after this
give me.
break. Guys, remember, if you think you are a bright spark, enter our Be a Bright Spark competition. We're not only just giving you guys residence accommodation, but we're also giving you an opportunity to win a car, a Chevy Spark L. If you'd like to drive next year when you go to varsity, make sure that you enter Be a Bright Spark competition. Entering is so easy. One, you get yourself the Safeways K53 manual, or download the Cool Android app, which is available from Samsung Galaxy App Store or the Google Play Store for only 59 Rand from Google Play Store. And thirdly, you like our Facebook page, like the Safeways Facebook page, then enter on the link that we have for you. Fill in the entry form so that we can capture your details, guys. Entering is so easy. If you'd like to find out more information, ask me. I'm here to help you guys. See you after this break. Welcome back, guys. I can't wait to get through your comments and your questions, and I know that you've been anxiously waiting to hear your names. So let's do this, Cheryl.
Okay, yes.
Right.
Put me on the spot.
Right on the spot. Okay.
Spotlight on me.
I'll go through the questions and the comments at the same time.
Okay.
Megan Joye Ramajo says, I'm writing a test on genetics on the 6th. I understand mutation so well now. Thank you, Mindset. You're welcome, Megan. Boitumelo Mpali says, I told all my classmates about how great Mindset is. I hope they are watching. I'd like to send a shout out to Eradicators. Your president loves you. Okay, your president loves you. Yvonne, hi. Hi to you too. Freshie has a question. Why are human genes added to DNA of bacteria, and what is recombinant DNA?
Okay. All right. I'm going to let me quickly go back over here. All right. Okay. All right. Why is human genes added? Okay. Now let's have a look what do we want our outcome to be? Okay. Diabetes is a serious disease. Okay. Now the problem is that we needed to make insulin, and as I said, in the old days you could only get insulin from pigs. So now what they want to try and do is, how can we make human insulin? All right. And this is where the genetic engineering. Have a look over here. I want to just show you something. Oopsie, we don't need a calculator yet. All right. Have a look what they've done over here. Okay. They took the gene for making human DNA. What do you want? You want human DNA. You don't want somebody else. Humans want human DNA, because if we get human DNA, then it doesn't, right? It's not going to, our body's going to accept it. It's not going to reject it. Okay, so this is what we do. We take out, now remember, after the Human Genome Project, we know exactly where on our DNA insulin is made. So we slice it, all right, and we cut it. Then what we do is we take bacteria and we cut off a little piece. All right? And what we do is we put that instruction into bacteria. Because bacteria now, the DNA says to them, okay, make human insulin. So it makes human insulin. So we're making human insulin on bacteria. And bacteria don't have feelings, and bacteria, it doesn't matter if things go wrong. Okay, so when we make bacteria, and you guys have seen in your fridge, you go in the one night and the next morning your whole cheese is green, all right? It reproduces very quickly. Because it reproduces, what is it made? It's made, all right, to produce insulin. Recombinant means recombined. What have I done? I have combined one organism's DNA with another organism's DNA. Okay, so that is genetic engineering. It's the same as biotechnology, all right? Biotechnology is, how can I use things like stem cells? How can I use them to maybe make, all right, other things better, right? So people who have leukemia, you know what happens? It's a blood cancer. They've got to go to the bone marrow. And lots of people, what happens if the bone marrow, you're not a match? Now what happens if we can get stem cells and we can make the bone marrow? People with leukemia might cure cancer better. We can cure certain things better. All right, so lots of you said, is it bad, is it good? This is why I say to you, think of the negatives when we've spoken about it yet. Genetically modified food. Now you must make a decision. Okay, on the plus side, I make more food. I can maybe make food that grows in, I can make that maybe more nutritious. It's bigger, it's healthier, all right? That's a positive. But somebody else will think, okay, I'm fiddling with its genes. How do I know that what I'm eating isn't actually bad for me, that might cause a mutation. So some people don't want to eat genetically modified food. I don't know what it's going to do to me. I think it might be bad for me. It might be unhealthy for me. I might become sick from it. Okay? So you've got pros and you've got cons. You must decide now. You must know the pros, you must know the cons, and then you make a decision. Shalana.
Sharp. I've got more for you.
Okay.
And I
Yes.
must say this to the guys watching, that whether you don't have a teacher at your school teaching you life sciences, or your teachers are on strike, it's not an excuse, guys. There are guys that are saying, such as Tlangelani Pali Samaba says, with the help of my mindset, I forget that we ain't learning at our school due to strike. So, guys, it's not an excuse. You can still learn more with this. More questions in comments. Garabo Esther says, guys, I'm asking for help on dihybrid crosses. Please help. Should we do that some other time?
I can help him now.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to, John, I don't know if you're listening. Okay, I'm going to skip ahead. Guys, we didn't do it last week. I'm going to quickly go to, all right, I did put it in just in case. Okay. When it comes to dihybrid crosses, it's the same as monohybrid crosses. And I'm going to say this. Don't spend hours and hours trying to understand a dihybrid cross. Right? Go and look through all the past papers. I'm not saying to you that they're not going to ask you, but they don't tend to ask it. But you need to understand the concept of it. Okay. So let's quickly look at the question of a dihybrid cross. A di means two, all right? A dihybrid means two. There we go, means two. Now I'm going to do the question, and all I want you to do here, all I want you to be able to understand is, give me the genotype and the phenotype. I'm not going to do the cross, okay? Wink, wink, right? What I want you to do, if I give you a problem, can you from that problem tell me two things? What is the genotype? One is the phenotype. So I'm going to tell you what is recessive, what is dominant. All right? And I'm going to give you the characteristics. Let's have a look over here. All right. Let's take this. A woman with brown eyes and dark hair. So we start off here. All right? I'm going to just go up a little bit. So let's start off with phenotype. Now look here, what has she got? She has got brown eyes and she's got dark hair. Brown eyes, one characteristic, dark hair, two. Two means die. Okay. Normally you would have just done eye color or hair color. Okay, let's look at her hubby. Okay, so that is the woman. Let's say here, woman. All right, now the male. What does he have? She marries a man with blue. Ooh, me and this little machine, Abram. I'm going to have to practice my handwriting skills. Brown eyes, okay. Blue eyes, that is one, blue, as in blue. And he has blonde hair. Okay. Now this is what you need to know. All right. All the children have dark hair, but half have blue eyes, and the other half have brown eyes. Okay, so all the children have dark hair. That's now going to come. But now we need to give, all right, let's have a look over here. Let's look for dominant, and let's look for recessive. Okay. Let E represent dominant brown eye color and E recessive blue eye color. All right, so let's look at eye color. All right, so we're going to go, let's have a look here. E is for brown, and little e is for blue. Okay, guys, what we do first is we go and look at the recessive. Because as soon as we see recessive, recessive is the pure gene. So let's go over here. What did Daddy have? Blue eyes. So he was recessive. What did Mommy have? Brown eyes. Now, when it comes to the dominant, we have two choices, don't we? We need to find out, is Mommy a pure brown or is she heterozygous? We don't know. We need to make a decision. Okay, now let's go to the next one. Let B, all right, let's go back to our pink. What does B represent? Brown hair color. Okay, and little b, blonde. Let's go to the recessive. What did Daddy have? Daddy had blonde hair. Okay, so now Daddy has got blue eyes and blonde hair. He was easy. So what is Daddy? He is EEBB. Now Mommy, she's the issue. Women are always the issue. Okay, Mommy's got dark hair. Mommy's got dark hair. All right? Sorry, I actually must change that back again. Let me just change something. I've used B's. Okay? All right, I'm not sorry if I'm confusing you. You see brown eyes and dark hair. All right. Now, we said, so E or big E, big E. She can be homozygous or heterozygous, okay? Because we said it's dominant. Dark hair as well. She's dark-haired as well, so we don't know. She says it's dominant, but I don't know. So my options are big B, or big B, little b. Okay. With Mom, I'm not sure. But I tell you a story. Let's read this most important line. Okay. All of the children have dark hair. All of the children have dark hair. What do we know about Mendel's first law? If we have a dominant and a recessive, the first generation always shows the dominant. Okay, so let's go back again. All the children have dark hair. Okay, so what was it for here? Big B or big B, little b? All of the children. If he's got blonde, all right, and she stayed like that, we can see she's hiding something. Some of the kids. It says all of the children are going to be dark-haired. So she must show pure dominance. Okay? So mommy is going to be big B for hair color. All right. Now let's see eyes. Let's see what they tell us about the eyes. Half of the children have blue eyes and the other half have brown eyes. So it tells me here, some of them have brown, some of them have blue. So that means that she cannot be, all right, big E, because some of them showed blue. So what are we seeing? The heterozygous. Okay, so mommy must be big E, little e. So my cross, all right, there we go. What would I be? My genotype is EEBB cross. Big E, BB. All right, then there I would have meiosis, fertilization, and the F1. All right, but this is what? Can you get that? Okay, can you get that? So my eggs would be, all right, E and a B and a E and a B. All right, all of them for daddy would be that. All right, let's see, what would they be? Let's take my E's, my big B, big E, big B. All right, it's going to be the same, or I'm going to have a big B and a little E. All right, so you'll see from that. So for the dihybrid cross, don't worry too much about doing the Punnett square. Be able to, again, all right, all the information I told you over here. I told you which was dominant. I told you which was recessive. And remember, if two people have dark hair and they have a child that has different color hair, both of them must be hiding. Are we fine there, Albram?
We're doing
Okay,
well.
all right.
There's more from the
Is there more?
mindsetters.
Okay.
You know, they drive our show. They
That's
are our
fine.
bosses.
They
so
are.
we're listening
Okay.
to you guys.
Upsets me to know they don't have a teacher. I get upset.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
but
really
we all
painful.
just
But we're
leave
doing
that
our
for
best.
another stand.
But you're doing our best. Right, here's another one from Bonola saying, so mutation can damage or is it harmful?
A mutation
Yes.
can be harmful, not harmful, or beneficial. Okay, till you can have the possibility.
Okay.
All right.
Right. Kondanani.
Yeah.
Kondani Root says, so during genetic engineering, can we really say it's always successful? If not, then how risky is it? Can we say genetic engineering is always 100% successful?
We can't say it's 100% successful. Blah, blah, blah. All right. We don't know what goes on behind the doors. Let's take Dolly, for example, Dolly the sheep. 230 tries happened before Dolly was successful. Right? So there was lots of things that were not successful before the one that was. So when we get to genetic engineering, this is all about trials. They have to see something, and it probably doesn't work in the beginning, and then afterwards, when they do get something that works, that is what the success stories that we're going to talk about. Okay, like insulin and also blood clotting for hemophiliacs. Okay.
Okay. Here's another one from Fredi Mosokotwane saying, first time watching and I could get used to this. Please pass this shout out to all Zambians watching this show, especially those who are doing science from Keninsia Secondary School. Keep up the good work that you guys are doing. Thank you so much. Last question, maybe because of time. I think you've dealt with this one. It's just shout out. I love this lesson. It helps me a lot. Shout out to all the life science teachers. That's Slim. Guys, because of time, I don't think we'll be able to take any more questions, but thank you for your questions and your comments. Cheryl, thank you for making this show the best as it was.
I try.
I just can't believe that an hour is gone already.
I said to you before, I'm trying my best. I'm got big shoes to fill, but I'm doing the best I can. As I said, we need to, where teachers are not doing their part,
we need to do our part.
We need to do our part.
Indeed.
Yes.
Guys, thank you so much for watching, and thank you to the Department of Basic Education for sponsoring this show. Peace.